Welcome to Timeout with PSOA and the NFHS NSAA training tape number 8. Want to continue sharing the thanks from the NSAA observers, Nate Newhouse, coaches, and officials for sending in clips for continued education and development. We're going to start with an overtime game situation and really focus on end of the game situations. And then we'll get into some overtime rule reminders. So as we play this first clip, we see the head coach of the defensive team on the field calling and yelling for timeout. Officials, you got to realize the referee is zoned in on a lot of responsibilities and the back turned. Officials that could see the coach should be recognizing this timeout. So if you're underneath the uprights, you should be aware of coaches on both sidelines if they have timeouts left available. Because as you see, this line of scrimmage guy is focused on all linemen down the line across the field. So underneath the field goal post, look for this coach calling a timeout when they have timeouts left. As we play this out, we now have a blocked field goal in overtime, and people are thinking that this game is over. And the officials know that the game is not over. So we now have to use loud signals, loud mechanics. Because as we go to the next clip, we now are backed up 5 yards to the 15-yard line. When this type of situation happens, our mechanics, our signals have to escalate to the environment of the game. All right, so if we have a delay of game, nice, high, long flag in the air and give that delay of game signal. If we have illegal substitution, high flag. If we have a false start, high flag. Whatever foul we had here to back this up, we have to have our mechanics, our signals match the situation in the game. I do want to review a couple of overtime rules as it's not in the normal section of the rulebook, it's in the back of the rulebook. So as you go to the back portion of the rulebook, there's a 2-page section of resolving tied games. If the score is tied at the end of regulation, there will only be one coin toss after a 3-minute intermission. And that coin toss, the winner will get to choose offense or defense first, or which side of the field to play on. Each team will get a series that will start at the 10-yard line. Exception, if there's a carryover foul, that will change the start of the series from the 10-yard line to the 25-yard line. But officials, remember, it's always first and goal. The only time we would bring the sticks back up is if we are over that 10-yard, first and goal, and then we have roughing the kicker, roughing the holder, roughing the passer, roughing the snapper, then we would have an automatic first down. If the defense gains control of the ball in an overtime period, the ball is dead immediately. The only time the defensive team can score while in control of the ball is they gain control of the ball in the opposite end zone where that overtime series had started. Other than that, the ball is dead. Defense cannot advance it. If the game is still tied after the first overtime period, we are not going to do another coin toss. The team that lost the coin toss will now have the first option, offense or defense, or which end of the field to play on. The next rule we're going to take a look at in clip has to do with defensive pass interference, and we'll talk a little bit about offensive pass interference. But first, restrictions for pass interference begin when it's beyond the neutral zone. So this number 0 offensive receiver does a phenomenal job of avoiding contact of the opponent. And it is the offensive player's responsibility to avoid that contact. So good job by number 0 here. Now the restrictions for defensive pass interference begins when the ball is released by the passer. So as we play this play out, we have the defender. He is going to face guard, which is legal in high school football. Then you have the receiver coming and contacting the defensive player. So it's actually the offense creating contact. So though we do have face guarding here, it is not face guarding with early contact by the defender. We have face guarding with contact by the offensive receiver. The defensive player does not prevent that offensive receiver from coming back to catch the ball, muff the ball, or bat the ball. This is not defensive pass interference. This is legal face guarding and incomplete pass. As we enter the later half of the season, a lot more trick plays come into high school football. This is a reminder. On a free kick, there must be 4 players on either side of the ball when kicked. Referees, this is your call. So the question here is, do they have 4 players on either side of the kicker at the time of the kick? When determining this, every player who is behind or within the body frame of the kicker is not on either side. You cannot count them. From this angle, we cannot tell if there is or is not 4 players on either side of the kicker. Coaches, this is a safety rule. So officials are going to err on the side of safety rule and call this illegal formation, shut this down, back it up 5 yards, and re-kick. All right, so officials, remember, philosophy. Any player of the kicking team inside the body frame of the kicker is not on either side. They have to clearly be outside that kicker's body frame for them to be considered on the side of the kicker. Officials, when in doubt, illegal formation, not enough players on either side of the kicker, dead ball foul. This is a proverbial terminology is going to help determine if this call is correct or incorrect, accepted by the coach or not accepted by the coach when it comes to our judgment. So the question is this holding on number 58 offense? If you are going to be a black and white official of the rule book, we have a grab, we have a restrict, then we have a hook, and then we have a turn. So can you say this is grasping the opponent in an attempt to restrain the opponent for holding? Yes. But now let's take a look at the philosophy. You know, we say it many times, we can call holding by rule every single play. So what we actually look for, category, absolutely is here. Does it impact the opponent? Does it impact the play? So to understand if it impacts the opponent, the defender wants to go inside and is allowed to go inside. At the time of the hook and turn, he now wants to get to the outside. He is restrained from getting to the outside. So the judgment is, does that hook and turn grasp restraint affect that opponent of making a play on this ball carrier? If your judgment is no, we do not have a foul. If your judgment is yes, you would have a foul. But that's what you need to explain to a coach. I have a grab, restraint, hook and turn, preventing the opponent from making a tackle on the ball carrier. In my judgment, just by watching this game film, this defender wanted to go inside away from the ball carrier. This would not be big enough for offensive holding. It's just too far away from the ball carrier when the hook and turn takes place. The next clip, we're going to talk about illegal formation, and specifically the formation rule that deals with no more than 4 backs being in the backfield. An NFHS rule difference. All right, a back is a player whose helmet is not beyond the waistline of the next legal lineman. So again, we do not have a straight look down the line of, is this player on the line or off the line? But the purpose of this clip is, number one, to review, we cannot have more than 4 backs in the backfield. And then the communication point is so important. All right, so as we go back to the beginning of this clip, we actually have the player looking at the official. Am I good? Officials who are working on the line, do not tell players what to do. Tell them what they are. So on this one, the line judge, if you have this wide receiver back off, you should be punching backwards. All right, that is clearly communicating with the player what you have him as. And if you do that the quicker you can, now they could adjust. If you have them off, they know they want to be on. It gives them time to move forward without simulating the snap and at the time of the snap. So as we play this out, we see the official does not punch back. We have a long run, and here comes the flag. All right? So you could understand why coaches can be frustrated on this type of situation. All right? With these types of big plays, as we enter the last 2 weeks of the regular season, we need to be on top of our games and communicate what the players are to prevent these types of situations. Now, we're going to talk about a lot of timing here the rest of this training tape. All right, we have 2:05 left in the half. We're not underneath 2 minutes yet. So the offended team will not have the option of starting the clock on the ready for play or snap for 2 reasons. 1, the clock is not running at the end of the play. And 2, we're still over 2 minutes. All right. So we're going to watch the end of this half at the end of this training tape to go over a lot more timing rules and how important it is to be on top of our game as officials when it goes to clock starts on the ready for play, clock starts on the snap, 25-second play clock, 40-second play clock. But the big thing here, officials, let them know what they are, punch back if off, no signal if on. So we have a punt situation here for our next clip. We're going to talk about mechanics of a punt as reminders, and then the importance of our words when we explain to a coach the reason for a foul. Coaches take this information, it's impactful. They don't forget it, and they do go to the rule book to match up our words given to them on the field, and is that the correct rule? So we're going to have a look here mechanic-wise. We have a good job rolling our arms for snapper protection because we have a player 10 yards behind. However, umpires, we need you much closer to the ball here. At the snap, you're working towards the line of scrimmage. Because if this turns into a fake, you are going to help us with ineligible linemen downfield. You're going to help us with illegal forward pass. We cannot have umpires this deep on punt plays. The bottom arrow, line judges, you are releasing on the snap, helping that back judge out with blocking into the receiver. Now, as we go, we're going to look at this linebacker on this punt play. All right. He goes down onto the snapper, and we have a flag coming in here. All right. What was told to the coach is that snapper is protected. And the snapper is protected, but he's protected on the initial charge. The defense cannot initially charge into that snapper. All right. This snapper snaps it, gets up, starts running downfield, trips on his own feet, and then is contacted. This is not holding. This is not roughing the snapper. All right. And we cannot miss the roughings. The roughings is the only automatic first downs in high school. So umpires, remember on snaps or on punts, you want to be about 10 yards from the ball. Once that snap is made, you are working up towards the line of scrimmage. And line judges, once that snap is made on a punt, you are working downfield. And for us to have a foul for roughing the pass or roughing the snapper, it has to be immediate charge into the snapper. Our next clip has to do with an ineligible lineman catching a pass. And I'll give a little history on what happens here after this play. So after this play, we have the ball that is passed, and an ineligible lineman catches it, and then gets a first down on this play. Team holds on to possession and winds up winning on the very last play of the game. Okay, so number one, is that legal? Well, sometimes yes, sometimes no. All right, so when it comes to judgment number one, intentionally touching a forward pass, illegal touching, live ball foul, 5-yard penalty, loss of down. Judgment number two, if the pass was touched by the defender, any player can catch a tipped pass. Now, we're going to go back and watch this play one more time. The most important part of officiating is communication of our judgment. So referees, if you have a tip by the defense, we must give that tip signal. All right, make it big, make it loud, make sure everybody sees it in the fans, in the players, coaches, and your partners. That will now prevent flags being thrown, and that will then communicate why a flag was not thrown. All right, so we're going to go through this again. So the snapper is covered up, is ineligible throughout the play unless the ball is tipped before touched. So as we play this out, there's our first down. All right. So I have slowed this down and I've zoomed in as much as I can, and I have no idea 100% indisputable video evidence if this ball was touched or not. So officials, remember, if you have this ball tipped and touched, give that tip signal. This now makes all players eligible to legally touch and catch this pass. And now there's no doubt that this would be a correct judgment, correct no call for illegal touching on the play. Our main focus this week is timing. So officials, as you're creating your pregame, you're having your pregame discussions, include timing part of your pregame. Because when it comes down to the end of the season, it is timing that is the most important. And we must get mechanics right, signals right, and rules right. So we have 1:10, and the clock is running at the end of the first half. As we have this play go, we have a pass completed near the sideline, and we have a stop the clock signal. The question is, though, is the official only stopping the clock for a first down, or is he stopping the clock for two reasons, first down and out of bounds? So there's two things we need to do here. When you get this ball, if you have it out of bounds, place the ball clearly out of bounds on the ground, and then with your palms facing away from the field, go backwards. So your arms are going behind you, and that's an out of bounds signal. So now we have a visual signal that the player went out of bounds. And this now helps the crew. It helps the teams relax. That clock is not going to start until the snap because the player is out of bounds. Once we do those mechanics, now get on the O2O. Communicate with the 5 officials on your crew. So now the officials can really communicate with the coaches making the decision on the next play. They don't have to hurry up. They have 40-second play clock. They will not lose game clock. So now we have 59 seconds. Clock is stopped. No hurry. We're going to change the play a little bit. Now we have a catch in bounds. We have clearly inbounds, first down, clock is stopped. Officials, we've said this in the past. We are not in a hurry here. We do not want to rush. When we rush, the players rush. When the players rush, they make mistakes. We have fouls. So referees, communicate with your umpires. Stay over the ball. And you're going to see on this clip, you see the referee have his arm out communicating, wait, wait, wait. And that's what that stop sign arm is communicating to the umpire. Wait. And what we are waiting for, we're waiting for our officials, including our chain gang, in these moments to get set and ready. We do not have to rush in this instance. Umpires, when your referees are giving you the stop sign, stay over the ball. Do not give up the ball because the players cannot legally snap it until that ready for play signal is given. First down in bounds, clock is stopped. There is no reason to rush and hurry. Now the clock is rolling. We have a long pass. Incomplete signal. At this point, if you are the official not near the play, we need as many officials as we can to be looking at this clock and making sure this clock stops. We cannot rely on the back judge here. Yes, they normally have clock status, but they have catch no catch. Now they have dead ball officiating. So as many officials as we can, watch that clock, make sure no time comes off that clock as it doesn't here. If one tick came off this clock, this is what we call the 5x5 axiom. We got a 2-possession ball game underneath 5 minutes and time is of the essence. We would correct this game clock from 34 and put it back to 35. Clock is stopped with 35 seconds. Pass play in the field of play. First down. We stop the clock. Again, the players are hurrying, but we do not have to hurry as officials. So as we go back here and see what goes on here, umpire does a great job here. Staying over the ball. Wait for the whistle. Wait for the whistle. Now we have a wind. Officials, don't be surprised. Referee, you should be in position before you wind. You should not be moving while winding here. Let the chains get set. Before you wind, get into the position you need to officiate. As we get this ball here, the quarterback kneels it. Now we have down in bounds. That clock is going to continue to run until a team calls a timeout. The offense does call a timeout. And again, officials, whoever recognizes the timeout, you now want to take a look at the clock. Was that the time on the clock when you recognized and heard the timeout called by the coach? Right? It's not from your signal. It's from when you recognized it. So if it was 24, put up 24. If it's 23, keep it 23. Now this gets really interesting. Clock is running. Quarterback is going. We have a tackle inbounds. short of the first down. Officials, we need to kill the clock first. We are not winding the clock ever in this situation in high school. We need to stop the clock. Tackled inbounds, short of the first down. Time is of the essence. Our mechanics have to be perfect. Now, since there's no reason to hurry here, keep that umpire over the ball. Wait until everybody is in position for the next play, including the back judge, head linesman, line judge. Umpires holding the ball. All right, we are rolling the clock for ready for play. This is a great example. We're thinking the offense is going to take the snap, spike the ball, and it'll be the next down. But that's not what happened here. We have a muffed snap that touches the ground, and we now know they cannot legally spike the ball once the ball is muffed and touches the ground. We cannot be surprised. Now the quarterback possesses the ball with his knee on the ground outside of the end zone. So officials, what to learn from this play? Anticipate the type of play you are going to officiate. Do not anticipate the call. So we are going to rule this. Live ball, second down, inbounds, out of timeouts. That is the half. Never get caught up anticipating the call. Anticipate the type of play you're going to make. That does it for Week 8 training tape for NSAA NFHS rules. Thank you for taking time out today watching this training tape. We will be back for Week 9. And officials, remember, you're only as good as your last call.